What's good people? Welcome to Whole Views. Thank you for clicking that thumbnail. My name is Corey, and today we're going to be talking about Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. I know myself to be a pretty generous reviewer when I talk about movies, so I will say that Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3 was good, in my opinion. It was good. If I want to be complimentary, I want to talk about the good things. I have to say that this movie was most impressive when it comes to the writing and the idea that they were able to connect so many different movies that came out over the past few years and kind of wrap up everything so nicely. I mean, this movie went all the way back to Apocalypse War and connected that storyline to everything that we've seen that came after Apocalypse War. It connected War World. It connected that pretty mediocre Green Lantern movie. And obviously it put a bow on this trilogy of films. And I think it was kind of a good ending. While overall, I won't say that this movie was amazing, I will say very firmly that they did a really good job of writing a story and weaving things together well enough to include all the different questions that you wanted answered before this little version of DC animated films wrapped up. I think they did it quite well to connect everything. So kudos to them for that good writing. Another compliment, another thing that I'll speak positively about is the fact that this movie is way more coherent and digestible than what we got in part 2. Again, I was kind when reviewing part 2 and I said it was all right. Honestly, I could have said it was trash. It wasn't good compared to what we got in the first one, and definitely not compared to what we got here in the third one. What I will say when I talk about criticisms is that I feel like this movie made an attempt to like tug on your heartstrings and really kind of make you feel some type of way about these characters. But in truth, none of it really worked when they actually executed all the things that they tried to do in this movie. And so you have moments where, spoiler alert, Supergirl sacrifices herself. You have Wonder Woman towards the end of the film volunteering to sacrifice herself. You have Superman being emotional both times. In one instance, he was emotionally holding Supergirl and screaming and crying, and you recreating the comic book moment. And that's cool to have that comic book cover recreated in your film. But at the same time, the emotional beat just wasn't there. I didn't feel any connection to that version of Supergirl. Yes, we got to see her story in her own film, and that was tied in with this as well. But I just didn't feel the relationship was there between her and Clark for him to be hollering and screaming like that. I'm sorry. It felt like a little cheesy moment to me. So while the writing was good, I must say all the emotional attempts felt incredibly flat. I do feel like this movie wrapped up the story quite well and it tied together a bunch of things, but I don't feel like the emotional beats that they tried to hit were earned or were effective. I think the biggest letdown about this film, and let me know in the comment sections whether you agree or disagree, but the fact that you have the Anti-Monitor as the villain and he has no motivation. He was actually described in this movie as like a white blood cell responding to a cancer. Like the multiverse was a cancer and the Anti-Monitor was like the autoimmune response, a bad guy for the sake of being a bad guy, of a monster that's just there to be there. He didn't have any motivation. He didn't have any reason to feel the way he felt. He was just responding to the fact that the universe was spiraling out of control, and it just did not feel big enough. It felt very flat, that there's no motivation behind the Anti-Monitor. He's just there, and he's gonna do this regardless of what we do or how good we are or how we feel. None of that matters. It only matters that we exist and we shouldn't. It just didn't feel good to watch that story unfold. I would have liked a better motivation from our big bad. That would have probably made this a little bit better. But those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section if you choose to do so. Thank you so much if you watched thus far. And that's all we have for this one, y'all. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.